Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. My final mock draft is finally here. We've been ripping a lot of mocks for different teams, a lot of individual whole first-round mocks. This is our final mock draft. It's 5.0 at this point. We're going to be breaking it down. Before we get into it, just want to thank you guys for all the support on the channel. 875 subscribers. I feel like just the other week I was thanking you guys for 750. The support has been awesome. And again, I invite you guys, if you do like the content, go subscribe to the channel. And then more importantly, let us know your ideas in the comment section. We love talking about ball with everybody. Dill, let's get into the mock. Travon Walker.
So you've been gaslighted, just like the whole media, that Travon Walker is better than Hutchinson and Kayvon. You all are walking right into the bear trap. That's very obvious.
See, this is you're getting this wrong. This is not what I think. Everybody knows that I love Aidan Hutchinson. He's my number one.
This is what I think too, and I don't think there's a chance he goes before those top two.
So you would hammer the Aidan Hutchinson draft prop.
Of course. I can't imagine, it seems to me it's a classic tales old as time, as the media has got these quote sources who don't name themselves and are definitely agents and scouts who are not the shot callers, because Brandon Beane's certainly not talking to a media guy. And they've all become now convinced that Travon Walker is better than Kayvon and Hutch. And I don't even think you can argue he's better than Jermaine Johnson, but
from a film standpoint, he's not even. I don't even know if he's better than George Karlaftis from the film. But obviously, the traits are what has taken over the talk around Travon Walker. And one thing I'd add is the GM in Jacksonville went with Aldon Smith when he was a rookie because of those traits. That's kind of what he values, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm almost rooting for it at this point because I would love to see Aidan Hutchinson in Detroit. So I don't want to see him go to Jacksonville. That's where he's going to go to die. I want to see Aidan Hutchinson in Detroit, a young franchise that seems to be turning it around. And so we have Walker go 1. Hutch is a lock to go 2.
If he doesn't go 1, he's 2. It's clear as day.
And then 3, I think
that's a fair one.
Pass up opportunities to get star tackles. I don't know if Kayvon Thibodeaux, a guy that I'm very high on, is necessarily going to be a star edge rusher. Ikem Ekwonu, he's going to be a stud tackle, and I think he's only going to get better. He's still learning the position. He has generational power in his hands. Yes, does he need to work a little bit in pass protection? He absolutely does, but he's a good enough athlete. He's strong enough to figure it out, and I think he's going to be the number 3. And when you're a Houston Texans trying to rebuild this franchise, go get a tackle who's going to start for you for many years.
I actually think these next picks make a ton of sense. Like Kayvon, Evan, Charles Cross.
Yeah.
That's like, if Kayvon falls to 4, I think I do think the Jets need a secondary player, but then just wait till 10 and take, because one of the 3 secondary guys is going to go.
Well, you'll see what I have at 10. But at the end of the day, Robert, as a predictive mock, Robert Saleh, he's not going to pass up Kayvon Thibodeaux. He wants to.
He needs an edge rusher. They like to get pressure.
Neal, I think, goes to the Giants just because they're looking at a right tackle. I think for like across from Andrew Thomas. I think Evan Neal projects. He's played right tackle at Alabama,
and he's a run blocker.
Yeah, and he's a road grader in the run game. And it's also a little personal bias because I do think Charles Cross deserves to go to the Panthers where he can prosper as just a franchise left tackle, which I think he will be. I just don't want to see Charles Cross waste all that athleticism and pass protection capability at the right tackle spot. And so I have him going to the Panthers, which is an interesting discussion because should they go quarterback? I think there's a strong argument that they should go quarterback. But there's so many question marks with the quarterback prospects. There's no question marks about Charles Cross. He's going to be a stud left tackle for the next 12 years for your franchise.
Yeah.
You don't have many opportunities to make that happen. You got to go get him at 6.
This is I still am Stingley 1, but that's a fair pick. I'm not gonna I think it's natural. I think they could very well get Jermaine Johnson. I don't think that's off the table at all.
I agree.
But It's the under cornerback. It's the only thing that makes sense for them at that point.
And I think Sauce Gardner, from a standpoint of, I still am kind of agreeing with you. I think Stingley is still my number one cornerback prospect, although it is very close and kind of just gets closer by the day. I think with a top 7 pick, you go with that really, really safe prospect, and I do think that's Sauce Gardner. 8, I think this is a no-brainer. It's going to be a wide receiver, I think.
It's not a no-brainer.
Yeah, I don't know.
You could go Jermaine Johnson for sure.
Yes, that is a very good point, because they do really need help on the defensive line, addressing both the run defense and the pass rush. I just don't see how you can play an NFL season with the wide receiving group they have.
That's true.
It's really bad. I have them take my number 1 wide receiver, Garrett Wilson.
They're also, the problem with them is they're not even in the ballpark of winning 5 games release. It's like, yeah. The thing is it's harder to get a really good D end than a really good wideout. I'd say that's the only argument I'd make against going wideout now, because you can just wideouts hit later from later rounds more consistently. All that. So
yep, that makes a lot of sense.
That's my inclination to think they're probably going to go Jermaine, because he's not moving the needle this year, Garrett Wilson or Jermaine, but you can maybe find a closer to Garrett Wilson talent later.
I think when you're setting up, if you're the Atlanta, a quarterback is on the horizon for you. If it's not this draft, it's 2023, and you don't want to have a quarter like Calvin Ridley and all the question marks that Calvin Ridley's bringing to the table. And you don't want to have a rookie quarterback come in next year and have the wide receiving.
And I just don't see him on the Falcons again. I think he's done with
need to be prioritized, because the market for free agent wide receivers right now is jacked. It is absolutely bullying.
They're getting paid.
That's what the Jaguars did to the wide receiver market, paying Christian Kirk all that money. You guys got like Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, seeing that money to just a sub-average. Like, he's an average wide receiver too, and they're sitting there like stud wide receiver 1s, seeing this guy get paid this much. They're going to be asking for a ton of money. So I think getting a wide receiver who can be a wide receiver 1 on a rookie deal makes a lot of sense. Derek Stingley, 9, they also could go quarterback, but when, again, there's not many circumstances when you can get a stud cornerback 1. Derek Stingley still on the board at 9. I think you just got to not think too much about it. Take him. And then here's kind of the biggest wrinkle. I don't see, and I want to say this a little bit too, I don't see many trade-ups, because I don't see many teams wanting to use their draft capital from either the depth of
no quarterback to trade up to. You never see trade-ups without quarterbacks usually.
That's one for sure. Without a bona fide quarterback, you're not going to see too many trade-ups. And 2, I'm not using my draft capital in 2023, which seems to be a loaded class for just a lot of different positions, on a 2022 guy that has a lot of question marks. Now, the one big trade I do have, Deebo Samuel's on the move. I think he'll be on the move Thursday night. The New York Jets have been gunning for a wide receiver. I think they're in the market. They got 2 first-round picks. They get Kayvon Thibodeaux, kind of a stud edge rusher. Fill out that wide receiver.
That makes sense.
Deebo Samuel, a guy who can do it all, will help Zach Wilson. And it makes a lot of sense for Seattle, who needs some help on the secondary. They have some guys leaving. Kyle Hamilton very well could slip to 10. And they go up and
then San Fran, it makes sense there, because they're not going to want to see another pick dropped late in the game that costs them anything. So
and then
they will be spurred on.
I have the Steelers trading up to 11 with the Commanders when they don't have like Garrett Wilson. Kyle Hamilton gets sniped right before them. I think they might trade out. They might hang in there at 11 to see if Kyle Hamilton slips to 11, and then I think it's a surefire pick for them. Kyle Hamilton off the board. I could see them shopping around. One of the teams that I think could go up and get a quarterback is Malik Willis. Mike Tomlin does love him. I really think you could see, if there is going to be a team moving up, I do think it'll be the Steelers or the Saints, just because I think it makes sense that the Saints kind of acquiring capital this year to maybe make a push up. Yeah. Look, it could be for a tackle. I really think the Saints, if they trade up, I think
get into like the top 6 and really gun for it.
You could. That's what I think. I think they could trade with the Panthers, who might want, and I don't think it'd be a bad idea for the Panthers to acquire draft capital in the later rounds, because they don't have any.
Yeah, probably not. And there's not much they can do.
And everyone's going to be, they're getting Malik Willis. They're getting Malik Willis. I think they could absolutely just go and get one of these stud tackles, because I think it is so rare that you have these 3 prospects who are just going to be such good NFL tackles, in my opinion. Jermaine Johnson ends up falling to 12. I think this one's kind of a no-brainer.
If that happens, no-brainer.
Yeah, good prospect. And then Jameson Williams. There's so many ways that Houston could go with this pick. They might want to go with some game-breaking speed in Jameson Williams. I do have Chris Olave higher, but I think you're trying to add a spark plug to this team. I think Jameson Williams could be the pick. One of those picks I didn't feel great about.
That's an interesting one they're going to do there, because they could anyone's on the table.
Literally anyone's on the table at 3. Could be Kayvon, could be Kyle Hamilton, it could be a tackle. And then anybody's on the board at 13 because they just need so much help. They're going best prospect. It's going to be
whoever they think's the best player for sure.
Exactly. And then George Karlaftis, a guy that people are talking about him slipping out of the first round, which is madness.
Yeah.
The thing is, he is slipping in the draft. Not necessarily because he's a bad prospect. It's just everybody's kind of fallen in love with Travon Walker and fallen in love with Jermaine Johnson. So you had him slated at that third edge spot in February. Now he's at the 5th edge spot, so he slides back a little bit. But he's not sliding outside the top 20. He's too good of a prospect.
I actually think this is a really unpredictable pick, the Ravens. I really don't have a good sense
on the table. Yep. And
do you think they could go wide out? I don't think it's crazy to go wide out here at 14.
And they're also, I think Debo would be a great fit in Baltimore.
Because he's a
offense phenomenally.
They need to be a little trickier because they're not a drop back and pass team. So
I do think they could be trading that 14 spot for Debo Samuel as well. I do have him get George Karlaftis. I think it makes a lot of sense. He's a good prospect. He's good in the run game. He's really, really strong. And then Trent McDuffie. If Trent McDuffie's on the board at 15, I feel really confident about this pick. I don't know if he'll be there at 15, but if he is, do you think the Eagles kind of
depends on Jermaine Johnson's? If Jermaine, because they're taking him at 12 if he's not.
Yes, I think McDuffie at 12 could be the pick as well to the Vikings. But if he's on the board, I think this makes a lot of sense. It's a combination of best player available with a position in need. That seems to kind of be a no-brainer. Chris Olave to the Saints. I do think the Saints will be looking to add a wide receiver if they hang back with these picks. Chris Olave, I'm high on him. I think the NFL will be high on him.
That'd be really nice if they could get one of the 3, really.
That was more of
which they should be able to.
That was more of I want Chris Olave to go to the Saints. I think I think he'd be a great fit on the Saints. I think he'd be a great fit on the Packers. Then Jordan Davis. We've kind of gotten away from the Jordan Davis to the Chargers slot.
But it makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. And if he doesn't go to the Ravens at 14 and he's there at 17, I think the Chargers take the bait there. And then Devin Lloyd. Again, I have Nakobe Dean as my one linebacker. I think the Eagles, the thing is, will they take a linebacker? Probably not. I think they should. I mean, they've TJ Edwards and Kaiir White. It's just such a bad LB room. You have Devin Lloyd who can kind of do it all. I think he's going to be a really good NFL linebacker in terms of the traits and skills he's put on the film, blitzing off the edge, dropping back in coverage. He's got good ball skills. He's got good feel. Seems like it makes a good pick. And then you got Bernie.
That's an interesting one because he's not a win now guy so much, but they do need a tackle.
I think he can be a serviceable tackle. I don't think he'll be a massive liability, but he is a guy that's going to get better as I do kind of like Bernie maybe going to the Packers or to the Cowboys, a team that doesn't necessarily need to play him or rely on him now. Saints kind of need to. But I do think Bernie, he's just getting better so quickly.
Yeah,
and so by the time fall rolls around, I think he could be there. And then Tyler Linderbaum, 20. I do think he goes relatively early. I think one team's going to fall in love with him. He's just too good of a prospect to pass up on. I think there'll be a lot of people writing him off. I don't want a 295-pound center. There will be a team that falls in love with him. The Commanders traded back. Go get one of the best players in the draft, Tyler Linderbaum. Andrew Booth, think this one makes a lot of sense too. This is kind of where we have Andrew Booth on our big board.
Yeah, if Devin Lloyd's not on the board, I think you're getting –
yeah.
I guess the Pats could go wide out, but they traditionally have not been wildly aggressive.
They could sneakily go wide out. I think we might see the wide receivers go a little bit quicker than we're used to just because it's hard to get a free agent wide receiver who's any good and not have to pay him so much money. So we could see that. And then the Packers end up – I think they're another trade-up candidate because if they want one of those stud wide receivers, they're probably going to have to jump the Patriots, jump the Eagles, jump the Saints. They hang back and get Drake London, who I think could be a solid fit. I know a lot of people are banging the table for Treylon Burks. You guys know how I feel about Treylon Burks. don't think the NFL is super in love with Treylon Burks. Drake London's a guy that just produced.
It does seem like people are getting a little down on Burks, whereas at the start of the process, he seemed way higher on
It was
most.
a combine.
And in fairness, he was a dominant player. So it's I don't love when guys like start losing stock or gaining it based on too much on offseason stuff.
Yeah, I was never super high on Burks. You guys were always higher on him than I was.
Yeah, that's fair.
It just seems like there wasn't much NFL translation to the game that Arkansas ran with him. And then Zion Johnson, 23. I think this makes a lot of sense. They need work on the interior. They want it now. I got to sneeze. Give me a second. Maybe not.
Oh, my God.
Maybe not. I don't know. I'm a little confused. I was feeling the sneeze for a couple of minutes, and I didn't really know.
You just look at the light or something and carry on.
Carry on. Got you. Zion, but this pick doesn't need much explanation. I mean, it's just he's a plug-and-play guy. He's a really good prospect at a position need. I have the Cowboys going to get Treylon Burks. I think if Burks is there at 24, Rock's going to be pissed at me. I want to say, hey, this is not what I would do, but I do think Jerry Jones, if Treylon Burks is on the board, I think he's going to do it. Jerry Jones is a wild man. He's going to do it. I really do think that.
It would be a bad pick, though. I think the Kobe Dean makes way more sense. I think they should want Devin Lloyd or him.
Oh, I think it'd be horrible. You know I don't like Treylon Burks, but I think Jerry Jones, he's not ever been in the business of making rational picks.
No, he goes for it. That's for sure.
And he wants a little bit of the flash. I mean, granted, he nailed it with Mike Parsons last year. CeeDee Lamb. I think it could be a little CeeDee Lamb scenario where there's like they weren't planning on taking a wideout, and then you have a wideout that you really like fall into your lap, and you go take him. Kaiir Elam. We ran a Bills mock the other day that no cornerback fell, so we ended up taking Linderbaum. But if the guy like Andrew Booth or Elam's on the board at 25, it's gonna be the Bills.
It seems a no-brainer that it's going to be one of them.
Yep. Tyler Smith, I really like this pick too. You start him out at guard. Dude he's another one of those guys where he's just going to get
better. So you're really falling on my my guy from A&M here.
Kenyon Green?
Kenyon Green.
Not really. It's more just
Kenyon Green's a tank.
Yeah, I don't know. Tyler Smith is special though because as a developmental prospect, like he's special. I kind of feel like it fits what Tennessee's wanting to do.
They does, but they also want to win now.
I wouldn't complain, and also if Kenyon Green's there at 27, I think the Bucs could take him. I haven't taken Travis Jones, a guy that I think the NFL is going to love.
They need help there.
Great Senior Bowl. Sure. Pair him up with Vita Vea. One, I just love the idea of having Travis Jones learn from Vita Vea because I think he can kind of turn into a Vita Vea. So they have similar games giving him if they don't get.
Yeah, they both, if they can be playing at 100% enough of the game, have just an explosion that a lot of people can't deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Jahan Dotson at 28. If they double up, I actually really like this combination. Like you get the bigger body, more contested catch guy in Drake London. And then Jahan Dotson falls. I think he'll be here around 28. I do like what Jahan Dotson brings. He's a little undersized. Good thing you just got a 6'5" freak at 22. So now you have the smaller guy who can create some separation. I think Sky Moore would be a nice fit here. I don't know if the Packers will double up on wide receiver. Hell, they might not even take a wide receiver at all just because.
No, they can't spite him again.
Well,
I get they always do it, but it can't happen.
I do like Jahan Dotson fit there. And then the Chiefs, I feel like are kind of holding an empty bag here because I think they want one of those guys. George Pickens, he's been getting a lot of love.
George Pickens is a wild card now. I feel like he might go really high, 25.
Yes.
Lower. He's a guy I have no sense where he's going to go.
I think it's one of those things where you see him test well at the combine. Okay, he's back from the injury. Now let's go turn on his true freshman film. Oh, yeah, this guy's a freak. He's an absolute dog. I don't know how well he fits in the Chiefs offense. I kind of like the idea of having a guy vertical who can go up and make some plays, and Patrick Mahomes can go kind of have a guy who you don't need much separation. I just don't know if Andy Reid's going to love that. He's historically.
He's traditionally gone the smaller.
Yeah. But Jahan Dotson, I think, would be a great fit here. But I don't know if Jahan Dotson goes early.
Then it gets interesting.
They get a steal in Arnold Ebiketie. I turned on the film of Arnold Ebiketie. Couldn't sleep last night. Turned on him again.
He's so good.
He's a freak, dude. He's so good.
If he was taken inside the top 20, I wouldn't bat an eye. It'd be that makes sense.
He is outside of Aidan Hutchinson. He probably is the best recent film of any of the edge draft prospects. The
Yeah.
film last year, he's incredible. He's so
I mean, the
technical.
Michigan game was one of the most dominant displays of against a really solid left tackle.
Ohio
Honestly,
State as
probably
well.
a pro.
He was also dominating Ohio
Like
State.
nobody could block him. So
And he's a little undersized at 250, so it's like, will he have to like be kind of a stand-up outside linebacker or not? But he doesn't really play undersized. Like he keeps it, and he's also very crafty. Keeps his leverage really well. Keeps that outside hand free a lot. People don't get outside of him. He stands up tackles well, and then in the pass rush, I mean, this guy you can't touch him. He just uses his hands so well. He's got a massive tool bag of rush moves. A veteran guy who transfers from Temple. I love this guy. He should be a first-round pick. I don't know if NFL teams will like it because they love the traits guys, the guys who tested freaky at the combine. And he didn't test bad at all. He didn't test poorly at all. But he's just this guy's one of the turn on the film. He's a stud. Devontae Wyatt slips 31 to the Bengals. They're kind of looking for a guy that just gives them a little just makes their roster better. Devontae Wyatt's that guy.
I think if like a Kenyon Green falls, I think there's a very good chance he's going here.
Yes, that is
like
also
big
true.
Versatile lineman who can maybe kick out and play a little tackle if you need him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was in the situation where I filled out this mock. I remember I did it this morning, and I'm like, "Oh, Devontae Wyatt's still there at 31. Probably got to get him in there somewhere." So I had to figure out. I think it would be a decent fit, and then Nakobe Dean. I think this would be a great pick. I would be if they get Aidan Hutchinson and Nakobe Dean, probably the two best defenders on film last year, and two guys who were the leaders of their team that massively overachieved. Like
those are some alpha dogs for sure.
It's just talk about culture change. Talk about what Dan Campbell wants to do. I would have to get two jerseys. I'd have to get a Hutchinson jersey and a Nakobe Dean jersey, and I just might need to leave the Bills and just become a Detroit Lions fan. Yeah, I said it.
That's a vicious comment.
Don't clip that and send it to the boys. But Aidan Hutchinson and Nakobe Dean are two of my favorite prospects in the draft, and I think they both have a realistic shot at going to Detroit. I would be so thrilled.
And it's so crazy because I don't get how Nakobe Dean can possibly go at 32. And I'm still not totally convinced that this isn't a media narrative that they're just being haters.
No, I think it is, though, because think about the NFL. It's just they view it a little differently. They don't care about the film as much as they care about the traits and how well does this body look in the NFL. And quite frankly, Nakobe Dean, 5'11", short arms, 225 pounds. Like, that's not a body that's a prototypical linebacker body. Now, you watched every single Georgia game. They were our team last year. We know how good he is. I just don't know if the NFL buys into it.
We'll see. I don't know. I think, this will be there's a lot of like picks that'll be like, wow, they really don't care about film, or like they care. That's all they care about. Because there's some guys like, I mean, you go Hutchinson over Travon. That's like a very clear, I am into the tape. If you go Nakobe higher, very tape guy. And we'll see. I don't know.
The thing with Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd is they both had excellent tape. Like, they both were the best defenders on the team. And I get the criticism on Nakobe Dean. It's like, oh, how well is he going to look when he doesn't have dogs in front of him like Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter? Like, that criticism makes a lot of sense to me. And that's
the thing is, he was killing it last year too, and they weren't like a stifling defense.
I love Nakobe.
He just wasn't playing enough.
Yeah, he is so good. And talk about instincts, this guy has it. So that's a wrap on my final. It makes me sad that this is my final first round mock. I might even try to change it. Feel good about it. One quarterback taken to Malik Willis, and it just comes to the point like there's not many trades because there's not many players that are worth trading up for. It's just that's kind of how I view this draft. I think a lot of teams are just going to want to sit on their draft capital in 2023. They're not going to want to give up their first-round picks in 2023. So you're not going to see many trades up in the first round. You might see more in day two because there are some guys that are like, okay, you really want to jump ahead. If you have to give up a day two or next year, I'm okay with it because the depth of this class we do like a lot.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't see many quarterbacks where it's like with a lot of good prospects, like a lot of solid bona fide.
Look at this list. It's like I can think of multiple guys I think are real legit first rounders.
Exactly. So that's a wrap on my final first on mock draft. Again, Thursday night doing the watch party. Very excited to have you guys all join us. Appreciate you guys following along, checking us out. If you guys do like the content, go subscribe to the channel. We're pumping out this content all week, and then we're getting back into summer scouting for college football. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace, y'all.